So without further ado, thank you, Steve, Stell, Blake, Lydia. Welcome back. Happy New Year, my trading warrior sister, and I'm passing you the baton. Look forward to speaking with you and seeing what's on your radar.
Good morning.
Hey, Dale. Look at the green thumb you have. Look at those plants. They're thriving. They must take Juice Plus. Huh?
Great. This is actually in my car, so it goes with me everywhere.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. I hope you had a great holiday season, and what a great time to have you on, Lydia. Before we get to the charts, and there's your 2019 outlook. So interesting to have a macro view, but it looks like we have D-Day, unless it's canceled next Tuesday. Any guesses about the scenario that might happen with the UK Parliament next Tuesday if it happens?
Let's see.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
They've given us every single possible scenario. I mean, honestly, my guess is that everything is pushed till March. It just seems like most of this posturing has just been kicking the can down the road. So I wouldn't be surprised whatever happens on Tuesday. It wouldn't be a surprise. I think a likely scenario, though, is that it's kicked to, until March. The closer we get to March, we start to see people really show their hand.
It's at the drop dead date where the referendum had to be executed by March. There's no chance for delay after that.
Right.
Interesting.
At least as it stands now.
Okay. So I just read a little bit of your 2019 outlook, and you give plenty of reasons why it's not going to be a bullish year for sterling. And, we've had the dollar come off and equities rally. Everything kind of, all boats are lifted. Even the pound, which was under pressure, is higher in January. So let's talk about your yearly scenario. Do you think it's possible? You're talking about 50% back from what, 145 and 121 back towards 137 as a possibility and as a short?
This one, actually, from 132 or 133.
Okay.
That 124 low.
Right.
So we have this stair step. Yeah, I think that I think a lot of us probably, let me see, I took profits higher than I would have liked to, and then we got this New Year's Eve drop, and it was this this absorption of bids here at the lows that had me because I really thought we were going to go higher the day, like the week before, on this candle here, and go up into go higher, and then we got this drop, and then all these bids came in, or they were absorbed, they were waiting, and really I think even as we're toying with this major support now resistance level, I think we're going to come into 128.60, and I wouldn't even be surprised, like I said in the outlook, that we come as high as the 61.8, because we get so close. As we get closer to 130, you start to see people say, you start to see the market turn bullish. You start to see traders rather turn bullish, because 130 is such an important psychological level for the pound. So I think it gets interesting as we start to see what happens on this rally. But yes, I do think, I agree. I think that we'll see dollar weakness, and a lot of that is going to be as the market tries to position or try to price in interest rate hikes versus cuts this year, and what the Fed is going to do in that respect. And I think we'll see the dollar come off because of that.
Okay, and the dollar, seems to be at least breaking down for a correction, but it seems to be giving it up so grudgingly. So it makes me kind of go with what you're saying, is that this pullback in the dollar, pound, euro, all the majors is not going to be real deep, and that despite what people are hoping that the Fed does nothing or becomes neutral, and even they're pricing in a cut. Makes me think that when the market doesn't gain ground when it should have, like
Hmm.
how the metals have outperformed, even with a steady dollar, that there's some type of undercurrent big bid on long dollar, even though a lot of people are already long the dollar.
Yeah, and I agree with that, because even as we're seeing this dollar weakness, we're still below 127.75 in the pound dollar. I know in the euro, people are looking for a move above 115, and
Right.
so we're not seeing this dollar weakness take off, even with the scenario with a possible interest rate cut starting to be priced into the market. We're not seeing equities take off on that kind of news either. And maybe for the equity markets, it's more waiting for earnings seasons to pass, now that FedEx and Apple in particular have spooked everybody into what earnings might look like coming out of December and out of 2018. So I agree with that. I'm trying to be really, really patient in taking a short in the pound dollar, because I do think we can see a move higher, and at least into the 50% retracement level before taking a move downward.
Okay. So why don't we move to a couple of the crosses, Lydia? I still think, Euro pound has been pretty interesting. We've stalled at, last week we stalled at the high that we had in May without, on my platform, taking the stops out.
Yeah.
But I still remain constructive on it, thinking they are going to break out over next week's highs. Maybe it pulls back a bit more towards 88.5 or so. Is your view that we should be looking for continued outperformance of the euro against cable for a bit longer?
Yeah, I do think so. So on the outlook that I wrote up, I've talked about this consolidation, this 2-year consolidation period that has stayed above this support level. But most importantly, to me, it's never reached these fibs. And so that in and of itself is really a bullish sign
Yeah.
long term for the euro pound. And if we just, look a little deeper here, I think this is better seen on the 4-hour chart.
See, it's interesting. Your platform took out the May high, or
Yeah.
that high that we had
Yeah,
there. So the stop hunt happened. Okay. All
yeah.
right.
I mean, it's one of those. It's like the euro pound. I'm sorry, like the pound dollar low at 119.50. Some people
Right.
have 119. Some people have said 118. So it's those kind of flash crashes.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you handle those as a technician? I've been asking people, do you ignore the wick in your trading and just focus on the body of it and the bodies going forward? How do you integrate those spikes into your
Yeah. So
work?
I've gotten that question a lot. So I actually use the spike. So my opinion on that is that if the market reaches those price levels, it's relevant.
Okay.
And I know there can be some debate back and forth with more computers and algorithms in the markets these days, but my contention is that if the market is making those prices, that it's something we should be paying attention to.
Okay.
But even more so is the reaction to the levels. So when we have these long wicks, we
Yeah.
see all these offers get absorbed in the market. It shouldn't have been surprising, or it wasn't, at least to me, that we got a dip back into support, or not even a dip, a reversal back into support. So it's really that reaction. Let me take out these highs, but then how does the candle close after reaching those levels? We see the same thing here. So
Right.
yeah, yes, I incorporate. So you see my fibs. I use the
Right.
entire.
Okay. So bias to the upside doesn't mean that it's going to be from 89 and a half, though. Could it work lower and still be a buy, say like 89, 88 and a half? What would be your line in the sand for saying that EG is topped?
Yeah, that it's topped out. Oh,
Yeah, that it doesn't have a bullish case anymore.
yeah, it would be a sustained move below 88.50. I
Okay.
actually thought that before we got this move higher, we were getting these failed highs. So
Right.
we got this one spike into 38.2, which was a great move for the euro pound, and we're starting to move higher. And it started to look like we're going to get these failed highs. I was positioned for a move lower into 88.50 until New Year's Eve, until that
Yeah.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
You know what I
The
mean?
algo, no matter where your stop is, the algos are going to take it out. So you better have lots of booze around for New Year's Eve. But I
You
think
better
that was
be
a
past
huh?
stop even too, because stop even would have gotten you you would have got a
Yeah.
loss with the stop even
Yeah, I
spot.
mean what
It
they
just
did
didn't
to the
pass.
Aussie and what they did to the
Oh man.
yen. So
Yeah.
why don't we go to the guppy since
Yeah.
the yen was really the most affected by that bear rate?
Oh yeah, the yen was so I think last time we spoke too, I said it seemed, I don't know when it would happen, but I want to see a break of the 61.8 and we'd see a return back into 130, and that
Yeah.
move did just that. But I was looking at it yeah, I was looking at it from here, and we don't see these kind of moves, but this move is actually right to the 261.8 level. And
Okay.
when you look at the fib extensions, and that level is typically where we're going to see kind of this reversal. So again, it's the same thing. It's like you see all these bids step in on a move like this, and it's no wonder that we're seeing all of this, really most of that just completely reversed across the board here. But I think
Yeah, I'd
that
like to validate that you were negative, Guppy, last time we were on. I don't remember. When was it? November? Something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that, Lydia. So
yeah,
that was a great call, and I know a lot of it had to do not as much with your bearish view of cable, but your bearish view of yen,
yeah.
US dollar yen. Yeah,
Yeah, or bullish view of the yen, just
yeah,
because
right,
we started
right,
talking about risk aversion starting to come into the markets.
right.
And that was right before equities dipped, or do we say
Oh,
crack?
yeah. Worst
Right,
December since 31, and I know
right.
you have a lot of people in cash, so kudos on that too. All right, a lot of my teammates and partners here at ForexAnalytix have been making hay with the cable against commodity currencies. So
Mhm.
why don't we move on to that?
Okay. So I'll just taking a look at the Canadian dollar, because we're going to hear from the Bank of Canada later this morning, and the market is rightfully positioned for a bullish, or I should say a hawkish sentiment coming out of the BOC. But I wonder if this could be a position for weakness, because really this is range bound. We got this spike high, and this was kind of that same move. This is New Year's Eve and all of
Yeah.
that. And we saw the Canadian dollar really weaken, along with other risk assets. So we're getting this move completely lower, and all of this is positioning ahead of the Bank of Canada. And really, we're moving to the bottom of this range. It would have been great to see it lower. I would have liked to taken a long here against support, but not here ahead of, not is still a kind of a ways away, especially against.
If it was down there ahead of the BOC, would you take a position ahead of the
Yeah,
BOC, or do you stand up?
I would.
You do take positions on red events like that.
Yes, I
If
do.
the
The
level is more
there.
important to you, the
Yeah.
level is more important to you than any news that comes out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Use your risk appropriately. And yeah, it's when we get uncertain events like parliament votes or those kind of things. But when we get like central banks, when their announcements hit, their policies are come out, we get really nice swift moves, and then it's when the pressers come out, and when they start doing press conference, it's the jawboning that gives us those whipsaws, those kind of whipsaw events. But I'm more of a technician, and so yeah, if we were against levels, I have no problem stepping in front of something unless I'm not really certain how that event would go, So, and
Okay.
if our markets haven't been very clear, this one is a clear range to me. So if we were at the bottom of the range, I just would take it. I would take it long, but not here. Not here.
Okay. So let me ask you. I think part of that move was crude. Big move up in crude that we've had since they flushed at New Year's Eve
Right.
too.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was Christmas and it's come back big. So if crude begins to correct, its advance, would you expect a recovery here on cable Canada?
Oh yeah, I think that would definitely support it.
Okay.
Yeah, that would definitely support it. And it's one of the reasons why this thing has been range bound. So when you see the pound weaken against most things in a trend, we're seeing the commodity dollars really remaining range bound. They're not getting any of that traction. And so these have been, if you're not trading these in a range bound, these are not trending markets yet.
Okay. And how about our Aussie and Kiwi allies over there?
Yeah, so yeah, the Australian dollar
Right. Yeah.
yeah, spiked. And that's kind of our Chinese proxy, so it really reacted because of that. And so look at here, it's completely reversed all of that. It's breaking the 618, which signals a move lower. So again, we're getting that's that pound trend coming into
Right.
play. But when you see any news coming out of China, you see anything around commodities, especially iron or the metals, you want to be aware that we're going to see Australian dollar tend to weaken in those events, but those offers are going to step in because, this in particular is against the pound. And there is still, like I said, there's still a lot of dovishness when it comes to the pound. And so people I find markets are just always positioned to short the pound on any kind of rally.
Okay, and how about Aussie? There are some people saying that we put in a major low in Aussie, and if that happens to be the case, how do you play this pairing? That Aussie is entering isn't just a bear market rally, but it could be in the beginning of a secular trend to the upside. How would you trade this?
Yeah, and a trend development like that really supports the pound Aussie in particular because it goes with the weak pound. So I like this break right now happening here, and I would position to really short any rallies that are coming into 8207. Actually, the better thing I would put if this starts to turn higher, put a fib on this downward move and see where you get a position to short.
Yeah, because sometimes on those wicks, what I've noticed over the years is that it could fill in, not necessarily take it out, but work into it, kind of like a gap. To me, it's almost like a gap. And the most bearish thing it could do is rally into it, but not take out the high of the wick.
Right.
So, you could almost treat these things like gaps and appreciate that. Any other cable-related instrument you want to talk about?
We can just take a quick look at the Kiwi. The
Okay.
Kiwi is kind of muted compared to all the action we've seen in the other pairs. I found this one to be, range bound in particular after we got this nice move, and this is a move since October though. So it's really, really since the last month of the year, we're just moving between support and resistance levels. We're coming here and, found offers, and this looks like we'll just move lower into 82. And so but this is a nice, range. This is about 700 pips. So
yeah, a muted 700-point range. I don't know about you, Lydia, but I actually prefer lower beta muted action trades now than the wild,
the wild
spikes.
Yeah.
The wild spikes. And, that's why it's been, I've kind of gravitated away from trading stock indexes after the first break. So why don't we go to what the good work that you do? Oh, now that I look at this, maybe we get a right shoulder at 186 or so on a pullback. That looks interesting. You see the left shoulder in November, and maybe we get a right shoulder here. So you're a mentor, you're an RIA, and you also write great things. I mean, we had an example of it right here. So why don't you describe what you do and what your mission is?
Thank you. So I started working with traders a couple of years ago, and you can find that here under Learn with Lydia. So everything, if you go to faithmightfx.com, you get my writings. I recently had an associate join me, and he does a lot of great writing on more stocks, kind of diversify the coverage on the blog now. And yeah, if you're looking for more traditional advisory services or asset management, you can look at Invest with Lydia. That will take you to the firm website. It'll give you a little bit blurb here, but then you can click forward into the firm website and see how our services are priced there. We're really meant to be a low cost and flat fee advisory firm to allow those of us who typically have been, traditionally been priced out of these services to gain these services. And with that, I think a lot of folks feel like you have to invest on your own. You have to know how to do this by yourself. And I just think that's a false paradigm that needs to be broken. Yeah, we all have to trade with someone. And you were just discussing it before I came on, how, you have intelligence gathering and you work with other traders and other investors. We all need to do that. And those of us who tend to go at it alone, that's the success that's just not how this game is played. I think you're best served when you're working with the team. And I think it's important to always consider having, if not a team of traders like this community, but having an advisor who can take a look at your long-term holdings as well.
Well, Lydia, I consider you part of the team, and we've been talking to each other for quite some time now. And every time you're here, I get some ideas. So I really appreciate you and everything you try and do for others. And your mission is really a great one. And I hope 2019, everything you're doing multiplies and expands and grows like a mushroom, and have a great trading year. I know that we'll be in touch several times this year. Thank you. Thank you for every time you come into our community and edify us, Lydia, my trading warrior sister.
Thank you so much for always inviting me back on. And yeah, a great year of trading to you and everyone out there. And as always, I see you on Twitter.
Okay. Adios, Lydia. Thank you so much. Everyone, that's a wrap for us today. See everyone tomorrow. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Adios. And see you for investing.com Thursday. Good hunting. Thanks, Lydia.
Thank you.